Hi, welcome you all to week 3 of Food Mood. We have so far been covering how the food affects our mood, and this presentation also we are going to continue this journey by understanding little more about processed foods versus unprocessed foods, good fats versus bad fats, good sugars versus bad sugars, good carbs versus bad carbs, and how to take these decisions in our daily lives and how to make them as lifestyle changes instead of focusing on some fad diets or crash diets. So let's get started. So let's talk about unprocessed foods first. So what is an unprocessed food? So some of the characteristics of unprocessed foods are that they are very close to their original state. They spoil faster and have very short shelf lives. For example, vegetables, if you don't keep it in the fridge, it tends to get spoiled. These are the things that your great-grandparents would have recognized as food. And that means that they were part of their lifestyle. Usually don't have ingredients list, and even if they do, it is a very short one. They are often sold without packaging. They don't need any packaging and they come with their own natural packaging. For example, oranges, bananas, apples, vegetables. So they have their own layer of packaging outside and you don't need to be packaging them in plastic bags or in cans or tins or bottles and so on and so forth. Now let us try to look at what do processed foods look like. So processed foods bear very little resemblance to their original state. For example, let's take an example of a cookie here. Now all the ingredients such as maida, sugar, color, all of these have been changed and the flavors have been enhanced. None of them look like what they occurred naturally. So the sugar that has been added is white powdered sugar, but how does it occur naturally in the nature? As a sugar cane. So it is very away from how it occurs naturally in its own form. They do not spoil easily. They have shelf life which might be 6 months, 3 months, even tending up to years, like 1 year, 2 years, and so on and so forth. The reason being because there are a lot of artificial flavors and preservatives which have been added to these compounds. And that makes them shelf stable because they are not directly delivered to you. They are manufactured in factories, they travel to the whole cold chain or even a normal food chain, and then they will hit the grocery store from where probably you will pick them up 2-3 months after they have been produced. So it is very important that they do not get spoiled easily and they have big shelf lives. These are the things that your great-grandparents probably wouldn't even recognize because they were not part of their diet at that time. They will often have a long ingredient list if you look behind the pack. And these things will start as ENS, IN number, and some of the things which you can't even pronounce. These are usually packaged or boxed. They are also often found in the center of the grocery store because that is where they want you to spend the maximum time, and they have a lot of attractive colors to catch your attention. They are also very calorie dense and they are deprived of their nutrients. So I hope these characters are able to help you to identify what are processed foods and what are unprocessed foods. Now let us look at some of the case examples and understand why it is so important to be conscious about whether we are consuming processed food or unprocessed food. So if you look at the next slide here, now all these photographs like half a donut, one plate full of steamed vegetables, 4 pieces of chicken nuggets, and 2 tablespoons of oil. What do they have in common? Yes, they all have 200 calories. So imagine Now, if you were trying to lose weight and you have to be on a calorie deficit diet, or you want to restrict your total number of calories intake in a day, then what seems to be the right choice for you to be consuming? Now, this does not mean that I'm telling you to eat only raw vegetables and steamed vegetables all the time. But the idea here is to understand how different food groups are going to contribute to your calorie intake during the day. Now, of course, if you had picked up the plate full of veggies and or fruits, now this is going to stretch your stomach muscles. And as a result, you are going to feel very, very satisfied, not hungry, no cravings. Whereas if you consume something with 2 tablespoons of oil, that's not going to fill up any space in your stomach. But at the same time, it has already added 200 calories to your total intake. Now let's talk about 4 pieces of chicken nuggets, which usually goes on the side while we are having a burger or a pizza. It is usually just part of that side dish on our plate. But imagine it has 200 calories in it. So it is very important to understand what kind of food, what kind of processing in the food has happened and how much calories is this going to add to your daily intake. So many people might say it's just 4 pieces of chicken nuggets, but imagine even 2 tablespoons of oil has 200 calories and 4 pieces of chicken nuggets has 200 calories. And on the other hand, a bowl full of fruits or vegetables, you can eat as much as you want and still you will be short of 200 calories. Now, why is it important and how do we incorporate it in the right decision making? So for this, we are going to briefly touch upon fats versus oils. Now, what is the difference and how do should oil even be consumed? Should fats even be consumed? The answer is yes, very much. The fat is very, very important for us because it helps us in cell generation as well as for minerals and nutrients absorption. Now, some of the vitamins A, D, E, K are all fat soluble and they need fat in the body in order to deliver those vitamins to your body. But oil, on the other hand, is derived by processing such seeds, vegetables such as sunflower oil, rice bran oil, palm oil, any oil. So these are more of refined oils which have gone through a certain level of processing, whereas fats are naturally occurring. For example, in the nuts, there is fat naturally available. If you look at avocados or mangoes or even chickpeas, chanas, all of them have fats naturally available in them, which is good for the body and you should have it. But oil, on the other hand, is processed, and not only is it calorie dense, but just look at what it does to your food. So we always say that if you're trying to lose weight, you should not be having potatoes. So let's take an example here of a sweet potato. So one sweet potato, if we take per pound, it has around 400 calories. But when we fry it into yummy French fries, the same 1 pound is going to now have 2400 calories. So it's not what vegetable you are consuming. You can have as many potatoes as you want and still be losing weight. But the point is, how are you consuming it? If you have nicely deep fried it into the oil and you are consuming it in the form of French fries or chips, it's going to do a lot more harm to your body. Whereas if you're having it as a stir-fried or steamed or boiled, it is absolutely fine to be consuming potatoes and still you can lose weight. So oil is like the invisible enemy. Let me give you another example. So a lot of times we blame the sugar, saying that sugar is the culprit. But you have to imagine, like for example, I was to give you a cup of tea and instead of 1 spoon of sugar, I have put 4 spoons of sugar in it. So what's going to happen? You will probably not consume that tea because it is extremely brutally sweet. But On the other hand, if I'm giving you a bread toast or let's say a curry, instead of 1 spoon of ghee, if I add 2 or 3 spoons of ghee, you are still going to consume it. And it's probably even going to taste even better because it's going to just melt in your mouth with all that oil and fat inside the mouth. So oil is actually the invisible culprit because we don't tend to notice it in our diet, but it's hiding in our diet and it is sneakingly increasing our calorie consumption. So oil is one thing that you should be very, very careful about in your diet. So fats, definitely yes. Oil, no. Now, what does that mean? That does not mean that you have to completely skip oil. Wherever you are, you have to move a progress from that. Now, what are some of the ways? And what are the right oils to consume? So, the recommended oils to consume are ghee, mustard oil, and olive oil. But that does not mean to say that I start adding extra ghee into my food. Especially if you are slightly overweight and your BMI is above the normal BMI, then it is important to reduce the intake of oil in your diet. And same goes for even fat sources. So natural forms of fat are nuts, seeds, chickpeas, avocados, fruits, etc. But again, you have to go a little on moderation if you are trying to lose weight, because all said and done, fats has 4 times more calorie density as compared to the sugars. Yeah, so all forms of oils should be reduced. One way to do that is in your kitchen, whichever oil you are using, add half water to it. Now your cook or maid or whosoever is making the food for you might ask, what kind of oil is this? And it looks very dispersed, kind of, it doesn't look like oil. But you can tell them this is a special oil which you have got. Now just by doing this, you will reduce your oil consumption by 50% because now you have half oil and half water. And the second approach can be you completely remove oil from your kitchen. Now, if you think that without oil, the sabji is not going to be, it's going to be all boiled steam and just a hospital ka khana, like, it's going to be like hospital food, that's not the case. You can still stir fry, you can still roast your veggies very nicely, even without oil. And there I'm also going to share a lot of links about how you can do zero oil cooking in your kitchen. So yes, oil is the #1 culprit which will prevent you from having weight loss, and you can enjoy all sorts of foods as long as you remove the oil from it. Now talking about sugar and handling cravings. Now sugar is also very important for our body for cell generation. Without sugar we can get anxious, we can have depression, we'll not feel good, we'll not feel the energy during the day. So how do we handle consumption of sugar? So especially the idea here is that if you are a sweet tooth person, you are not going to fight your cravings. The idea here is not to suppress your cravings, because the more you fight your cravings, the more it is going to bounce back. The stronger it is going to come back at you, which means that maybe for a week or 2 weeks you might avoid these cravings, but it is going to come back at you in a much stronger way and you're going to end up binge eating. So the idea here is not to suppress your cravings, but to find out the healthier substitutes from wherever you are. For example, if you have a tendency to eat ice cream every day in the night, you feel the craving for that, then can you instead switch to fruits, frozen fruits? You can make fruit ice creams at home. Similarly, there are a lot of options available to us. We just have to open our mind and try a few new things. For example, fruits is one. Dates, again in moderation. So any form of dry fruit is always to be had in moderation. The reason being, in a fruit, it is always a very good balance of water, fiber and sugar. And the body is able to assimilate the fruits very well, and there is a slow surge of sugar in the body. Whereas if you have dry fruits or concentrated form of sugars, there is usually very high blood sugar spikes. And dates are calorie dense foods, so you should always have them in moderation. Another examples can be oats pudding. Very, very yummy, rich, fibrous, good for your skin, good for your body. Meetha dalia, again, very low on calories and very high on fiber and good taste. You can add honey to it, you can add jaggery, whichever form of natural sugars you want to add, you can add and you can enjoy that taste. Dark chocolate is another, it uplifts your mood, not recommended if you have acne issues. But these are some of the options and substitutes which you can switch to instead of your normal desserts and ice creams which you get at coffee shops. Now, some of the pictures here are indicating how the amount of calories differ depending on the choice that you make for a dessert. So, for example, the first one is chia pudding. It has around 230 calories. Versus if you were to go for an ice cream sundae, it has around 385 to 400 calories, almost double. And not only that, but also the chia pudding has much more fiber and it is going to make you feel full for a longer time. Whereas the sugar crash after you have an ice cream sundae is going to be the sugar rush is going to be very short-lived. And the moment you go from a high to a low, your body is again going to crave for something more. Whereas if you have a chia pudding, which is sweet, still sweet, it is going to have a much controlled blood sugar in your system, and also it's not going to get you into this loop of hunger pangs and cravings. If you look at a chocolate mousse, it is around 355 calories. Add some nuts to it, add some whipped cream, and can easily touch 500 calories. So and if you compare it with a bowl of fruits, then it is going to be 70 to 100 calories, a big bowl of fruits. And fruits are absolutely healthy. You can eat them even if you are on a weight loss journey. Please do not believe the myth that you have to avoid fruits if you're trying to lose weight because they are sweet. No, fruit is a very, very balanced food. And it also provides you minerals and vitamins. So yes, if you are a sweet tooth, then it is important to be aware of these substitutes which are available to you so that you can make healthier choices. Now, wherever you are, for example, if you like to eat chocolate mousse, so can you instead, add some chia seeds to it so that it bulks up? You are eating a full cup, but still in reality, the amount of chocolate mousse has gone down, and it is also going to keep you full for a longer time. Also, if you are trying to lose weight, then please do not add a lot of seeds and nuts because all said and done, they are calorie dense foods. So when I say they are good, you still have to have them in moderation because as compared to vegetables and fruits, they are much more dense in calories. So now let's talk about good carbs. So carbs are again, there is a lot of talk about go high protein, reduce the carbs. Let me please tell you that any of these diet forms are not sustainable. What is sustainable is lifestyle changes, because the moment you go low on carbs, it is again going to play with your energy levels. It's going to give you mood swings. It's going to give you anxiety, depression, headache, and whatnot. So this is not sustainable. If somebody is telling you that, okay, eat chicken every day and reduce roti, reduce rice, it's absolutely a wrong approach, and it's not advisable. You need to have balanced macronutrients, which is carbs, fats, and fiber. You need and proteins. You need to have all four of them for a good smooth functioning of the body. Now let's talk about complex carbs, good carbs. An easy way to identify and simplify your choices is to convert all whites to browns. For example, your white rice becomes brown rice. Your white atta becomes multigrain atta, brown in color. How will you make it? add whatever you like. Add bran to it, add rajgir to it, sattu atta, chana atta, soya atta, ragi atta, bajra, jowar. We actually, in Indian culture, there is a plethora of millets and grains which you can grind and add to your atta. Now, they are not going to essentially cut down on the calories, but the beauty is that they are loaded with nutrients and minerals, and they have a lot of fiber. Now, fiber is not really digested by you, but fiber is consumed by the gut bacteria and healthy bacteria, and you need to have a good gut flora to help your digestion process. So there is a multi benefit of having complex carbs. One is the fiber, which is going to have a good gut flora in your body, and second is the nutrient value and the minerals that come along with these complex carbs. So, simple thing. Rice, white rice changes to brown rice, white atta changes to brown atta, white bread changes to brown bread. But just be careful in the ingredients list that brown bread is not only about the change in the color, but it is actually brown bread. Now, another thing that to keep in mind whenever you are, because in our life we also want some convenience. We can't really go to the chakki kata to get it processed. So I understand that. One rule, one 5:1 rule I want to share with you, which helps you in picking the right products off the shelf for processed foods, which says that the amount of, so every packaged food which comes in a plastic bag or any a bottle or a tin or a can, any packaged food will have a nutrition panel behind the packet. On that, there's always a nutritional information which includes what is the carbs, what is the fiber, the proteins, etc., etc. So the 5:1 rule states that if the ratio of carb is to fiber is more than 5, then it is not healthy for you. It should go back on the shelf. But honestly, these days it is impossible to find anything which will fall into that category. So we will probably relax this rule a little bit and say that, okay, please check that the carb is to fiber ratio is less than 10, and then it is safe to consume that packaged food. Otherwise, it should go back to the shelf. Doesn't matter what claims they are making, multigrain, farm fed, so on, 100% organic, so on and so forth, but you have to check whether carb is to fiber ratio is less than 10, and then only you pick it off the shelf. Yeah, otherwise it's all a marketing gimmick. Okay, so now we spoke about zero oil, and then people often ask that, okay, then how are we going to cook? So, especially in Indian system, there are many ways of cooking. Now, what are these ways of cooking? We can eat the vegetables and fruits raw. We can have boil them. We can steam them. We can also stir fry them, shallow fry them. We can grill them. We can bake them, or we can deep fry them. And these days we have air fryer as well. Now, the most unhealthy out of all of them is baking and deep fry, because the moment we deep fry or bake them, deep fry, yes, of course, because it binds a lot of oil to it unnecessarily, and it makes the food very, very calorie dense. So same, like if you are having, let me take an example of chicken. So if you are grilling a chicken versus you are deep frying a chicken, it's obviously deep fried chicken is much more unhealthy, because it has now a lot of fat associated, a lot of oil associated with that, the whole process of cooking itself. Baking also very unhealthy, even though it sounds very good, because you are exposing the food to higher temperatures for a much longer period, thereby reducing its nutrient value. So if we talk about green leafy vegetables, they are best consumed raw, but if you don't like to have them like that, boiling and steaming is another good option. So all your cruciferous vegetables, you can boil them, you can steam them, like broccoli, zucchini, beetroots, all of them you can boil or steam them. If you don't like that, you can always stir fry or grill them, but the most unhealthy options, baking and deep frying, try to avoid them as much as possible. Coming to the part about detoxification. Now, Actually, our bodies are detoxifying all the time. So our cell, each and every cell in our body, our skin, our glands, they are working on the detoxification process all the time. So we don't really need to facilitate it, but here are some of the recipes of the herbs that you can use from your kitchen in order to help and ease the detoxification process. The first part, which is I've not mentioned here, is but if you want to help hasten the detoxification process, then fasting is a very good form. A 24-hour fasting. If you are not used to fasting, you can start with just vegetables or fruits. If you are already used to fasting, then you can go on to the water fast. And if you don't want even that, you can go on a complete fast for 24 hours. So depending on wherever you are, you can try with different methods of fasting. Now coming to detoxification juices or waters. So water is the best detoxification agent that you have with you, especially warm water, because if you start your day with warm water and you also have warm water throughout the day, it is going to, one, cleanse your system, aid your digestion. Also, it's going to curb your hunger pangs. So warm water is an excellent remedy. However, if you don't like the taste of plain water, then I have given some options. For example, to help aid your digestion, you can have lemon water. You can also boil jeera for 2-3 minutes and have that water throughout the day. You can add turmeric, which is a great immunity compound and builds your immunity. Apple cider vinegar, again, very good for people who have bloating issues. So when you have food, after that you can have apple cider vinegar, just a small cap in water, 250 ml of water, and you can also have the mint leaves in warm water. All these herbs are going to help you in the digestion process. If we look at mood elevation or calming yourself, then chamomile tea is actually very good just before sleep. You can also add some basil leaves in the hot water. You can add moringa leaves. All of them have a calming effect. If you are having chronic issues such as cholesterol or diabetes, then some of your best friends are actually methi seeds soaked overnight, cinnamon stick, again overnight in water. You can have trifla juice in the morning, excellent for cholesterol. You can also have a raw garlic, 1 globule in the morning with plain water, and these are your friends for cholesterol and diabetes control. Again, all these are herbs used in your kitchen. You don't need to be spending on products, on fancy products, organic products, and they are packaged very nicely, but actually you should be consuming them directly from your kitchen. It's very simple to make it. It's just about habit. So these are some of the detoxification recipes that you can use. So again, this module has been all about no diet but lifestyle changes, and for that you only have to remember 2 rules. The first rule is eat real foods. Choose unprocessed or whole foods and avoid highly processed and refined foods. The foods which your great grandparents would eat, would identify with. So eat real foods as much as possible. According to Dr. Greger, who's my mentor, the whole foods is defined as nothing bad added and nothing good taken away. Because the moment we start processing the whole food, we make it calorie dense, we try to add preservatives, we try to enhance flavors, and all of that chemistry actually starts interfering with our body mechanisms. So as much as possible, try to eat real foods, the foods that grow on plants, not made in the plants. Yes. Now, rule number 2. So eat more plants. Because the more I have studied about it and the more I have experimented about it, I have gone to realize I've been a non-vegetarian all my life, and and there's a lot of thing about, okay, you need protein, but the idea is that if you are on an animal diet, it is very difficult for your body to digest that protein and the nutrients, because we are actually not meant to be having so much of animal diet. So Eat more plants. At least 80 to 90% of your calorie intake should come from natural resources, from plants and vegetables and fruits, nuts, seeds, legumes. And the plant proteins are actually much faster assimilated in the body and make you feel more energetic, as compared to if you're eating a lot of animal protein, it will make you feel sluggish, because all your energy is diverted toward digesting that protein. It is in your system for a much longer period, whereas vegetables, legumes, etc. are much easier assimilated into your body. So these are the two rules you have to remember. Eat real foods and try to have as many plant foods as possible, and you will see the scale will start moving. Some of the proven strategies that have worked are: one, it's very important to know why you want to do this. Why is it important for you at this moment? So sit and ask yourself this question: why do you want to do it now, and what importance does it hold for you? Number two, redirect your cravings. Do not suppress them. The moment you suppress them, they are going to come back stronger at you. So you have to understand what are your cravings, and you have to work towards healthier substitutes. Eat more of plant-based whole foods. Stock up the greens. Now this is very important. So the person who plays the most important role in your diet is actually the person who orders the groceries. It might sound very mundane to you, but actually it's true. So the first step towards your healthy lifestyle, holistic lifestyle, or a weight loss journey is to order the right groceries. If you or whosoever is ordering the groceries is ordering more of chips, biscuits, processed food, packaged food, soda, cold drinks, then you're going to end up consuming that. So whosoever is ordering the groceries in your house or going for the shopping of groceries, it's important to tell them to order lots of grains and fruits. Now, if you order them, you will end up eating them. It might so happen that for 1 or 2 weeks, you might not consume those greens. You might be trying to figure out, okay, what do I do? I have so many greens. But trust me, if you have them in your house, you will start switching your lifestyle towards eating more green vegetables, eating more fruits. So the very important role played here by the person who orders the groceries, and he or she needs to be made aware of that without thinking anything, you have to order vegetables and fruits. 3-course meal, I'll be covering that in the next slide. Keep your fruits on the dining table in a big plate. The reason being, the more you see it, and they just absolutely look so gorgeous. The more you see them, the more you will feel like eating them. So always keep them up on the dining table, not always stocked in the fridge. So let's cover the 3-course meal. The 3-course meal is basically, your first course should be either fruits or vegetables. Now this is not only your weight loss medicine, but it's also your multivitamin. So make sure that when you are having your food, you can have it pre-meal or you can have it along with the meal. The first course should either be a fruit or a vegetable, and you can have it as much as you want. The second portion should be a medium, less than the first course, should be about whole grains, starchy vegetables or beans. Now think of this as more like a filler. It's going to create a satisfaction, and you're not going to have hunger pangs later. So you're filling up your stomach with the second course, which is whole grain, starchy vegetables and beans. And the third course, or the smallest portion, should be the calorie dense foods or proteins such as tofu, animal foods, or if you're having any calorie dense like processed foods. So those should be the third portion and the smallest portion, because you want to keep it to the minimum. So typically when we go out for partying or anything, you would have seen that the first thing is that we have the third course, which is the protein food, and uske saath, then along with that we have the second course of starchy vegetables, and then comes the vegetable or fruit, some side salad or something. So this is the the course that we have to reverse. We have to have our vegetables or fruits first, then the whole grains or starchy vegetables and beans, and the third comes the calorie dense foods like proteins or desserts or french fries or whatever it is. Yes. Okay. Now, so it's we are all on our own journey, and it's very difficult for a person to tell that okay, this is where you start from, because everybody has a different starting point. But what I want to leave you with is set smart goals for yourself. And what are these smart goals? Smart goals are basically, it's not a visionary statement, but it is something that you can achieve. It is specific, it is measurable, it is achievable, and it is time bound, which means that okay, for the next 1 week I'm going to do so and so, which is specific in nature. Not that okay, I want to lose 5 kgs over 2 years. So that's a very, very long term goal. It is smart, it is specific, but at the moment I would urge you to think of your maybe a weekly goal or a monthly goal which you're going to monitor for some time. Now, some of the examples here are like maybe one of your meals can be about whole foods only. So no packaged food, no pickle, no chips, no papad, no nothing of packaged food on your plate. Another example can be you are going to have 5 servings of fruits and vegetables combined during the day, or you're going to cut down on packaged food or processed food, or you're going to stop the soda and replace it with sparkling water. Or whichever time you're having dinner, you're going to move it early by 30 minutes. And now why is that important? Because of the the circadian rhythm. And the idea is to have food when with the sunrise, and as the sunset happens we need to start cutting down on the calorie intake, because that is when your metabolism also starts slowing down. So people who think that okay, I have not eaten the whole day and now I can gorge on calories during the dinner time, it's absolutely not a good idea, because your metabolism also slows down, your body processes slow down. So whatever you eat in the night time, it's going to have it's going to be digested much more slowly, and it's going to play with your metabolism slowing down over time. Yeah. So yeah, moving dinner early by 30 minutes, eating one fruit in a day for sure, replacing your milk with nut-based milks or alternate milks such as coconut milk, oat milk, soya milk, almond milk. There's so many options available right now. So if you can replace the milk with nut-based milk. So these are just some of the, just to give you an idea of what are some of the smart goals that you can choose from. But it's absolutely up to you because you are driving your own journey, and we are talking here about lifestyle changes. We are not talking here about diet plans. We are talking here about lasting changes, so that you can reverse age, you can get rid of your chronic diseases. We are talking much more here than just weight loss. So it's going to be a lifestyle changing, and you are in the driver's seat. But this is just to give you some idea about the kind of options that you have. These are some of the links here which I have shared. Some of them are about zero oil cooking, about different cooking methods and their benefits, oil-free Indian recipes, smoothies. If you like to have smoothies, then smoothies is a good way of your multivitamin shots, and these are good recipes as well. Daily Dozen Checklist, again by Dr. Greger, who talks about recommended servings of fruits, vegetables, nuts, legumes, seeds, etc. So these are some nice important links which you can use and go through to enhance your knowledge even much more than what we covered in this presentation. But remember, only 2 rules: eat natural food, eat plant-based food. Yeah, these are the only 2 things. Yeah, with this we are okay. Yeah, with this we are almost coming to the end of our slides, and the task for this week till we meet again is to choose a goal for yourself, a smart goal. What will you do differently? And whatever it is, you are going to follow that for at least 21 days, and try not to break the chain. Every day you are going to make a cross if you have followed that goal for the day, and at least for 21 days try not to break that chain. Yes, so I wish you all the best, and till we meet again in the next week's module. and it's all about food and mood. Thank you.